Greetings and salutations, this is Imperator Vespasian bringing you my squat living ancestor. This is the figure I am using for the living ancestor of the squats. Now, who are the living ancestors? Ancestors are squats that have lived a really long time. Mephiston, the librarian of the Blood Angels, pointed out to, I think it was Dante actually, that all space marines, or all life, all living creatures are psychic to an extent. And the longer a creature lives, the more effective its psychic powers become. Of course, humans don't live long enough for them to actually truly become proper psychers. Only a handful ever actually become psychers. But the squats, or the space dwarves, or whatever you want to call them, they live a really long time. If they don't get killed by something eating them, or a rock falling on their head, or caving, then they will actually live until they're 1,000, 2,000 years old. And so they become psychic as they get older and older and older. So this guy would have started off as a standard Brotherhood soldier, and for 300 odd years he would have fought in the line with the normal Brotherhood. And he would have got older and gained psychic abilities, maybe would have become a lord or something, and he will end his life as a psyker, as a very powerful librarian. And that's who this guy is. So the face on him is from the Space Wolves box set. All the weapons are Space Wolf weapons. The backpack is from the command box, I believe, and the Dead Tyranid skull is from the Space Wolves. There's also a Dead Tyranid on the floor, which is made out of milliput. So that's the figure. I think it's come out pretty well, even though I say so myself. So there he is, a ancestor, a living ancestor. Probably one of the best things about living ancestors is the fact that they're psychers. But lore-wise, they actually remember a lot of stuff from ye olde times. In the other video I did about the command unit, I mentioned that the Lord will probably remember the time when the ancestral grudge came from. He certainly won't remember the problems with the Eldar and stuff, because that was a long time before then. Some living ancestors will either remember it or will have been told it when they were young by another living ancestor. So the ancestor probably remembers the time when the Eldar refused to come to the aid of the dwarves, and will certainly remember the time the Tyranids came, because that's relatively recent. So, a living ancestor. Remember, all these rules are taken from the original compendium, but I've had to modify them slightly to fit 8th edition. So a lot of it is throwing pebbles in the dark, but I have another set which makes him basically a normal librarian for game terms. That sounds complicated, sorry. Right, he's armed with a frost axe. The frost axe comes straight out of the Space Wolf box set. You end up with loads of spare weapons and stuff in that. That's +2 to strength, -3 AP, D3 damage, +1 when charging, +1 attacks when charging, quite useful. So we also have a plasma pistol, which is just a standard plasma pistol. Psychic powers, yeah, I lifted the psychic powers from the Space Wolf book, simply because the original 40k psychic powers in 1st, 2nd edition were really weird. There were sort of 4 levels, but each one was just a slightly more powerful one than the one before. And you had 4 levels of power. Don't worry about it, it's not important. But I couldn't really transfer the sort of the psychic powers that mainly the squats used to modern times, so I've just lifted them straight out of the Space Wolf box, Space Wolf rules, because it just made more sense. So of course he has Smite, as everyone has Smite, Thunderclap, Living Lightning, Stormcaller, Hurricane, Jaws of the Wolf Lord, and Wolf Spirit. I'm not going to go into how they work, because that is really for the Space Wolves, because they're lifted from the Space Wolf rules. The most interesting one of all of them is the ability to get Freki or Gary and bring them back from the dead and get them to attack people, which is just hilariously funny. Anyway, he has an iron halo because he is a librarian. He has the ability to operate as a medic, believe it or not. I don't know why, but the original Scots had the ability, the Scot ancestors had the ability to heal. So what I've done is I've used the same skill you get with a apothecary, and I've given it to him. Obviously, if you're doing a game where you're just classing everything as Imperial Guard and Scot regular infantry as Imperial Guard and the others are Space Marines, then it won't count. But if you're doing a game with these rules, then you can use it. He's also Oathsworn, re-rolled failed charge rolls, and he has an Ancestral grudge. And this guy is the guy who remembers why you have an Ancestral grudge. He is the Ancestor. He probably wrote the grudge, actually. So, yeah. That's it. That's the character, and that is the Ancestor. And I think it's come out quite well as a figure. I think I've done a decent job with it. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and leave a like and all those other things you do. This has been Imperator Vespasian. Thank you very much for watching all these videos, and goodbye.